Question 13. Okay, I think question 9 and 13 are the more prominent ones. Let me take a look at the 4, 5, and the rest first, okay? Okay, may I ask question 4, what is the issue? Explanation, huh? Okay. Okay, can we settle down? Right, question 4, right? They give you this function. Then after that, it asks you to show that it is an increasing function for all real values of x, except for x not equals to -1. Okay, I think there is a printing error by the way. Okay, for question 4. Okay, I don't know whether what version of the textbook you have. It should be except for x equals to -1. Not x not equals to -1. Okay. So, because they're trying to exclude this possibility. Okay, the reason why they are excluding x equals to -1 is because if x equals to -1, then your y function is not defined since the denominator cannot be equals to 0. Okay, so I hope that you can do your differentiation. You should be able to arrive at this. Okay, I will say that the challenge is in terms of the explaining part. Okay, so since we want to show that it is an increasing function, we have to say that since x plus 1 square is more than 0 for all real values of x, except x equals to -1. Okay, because if x is equal to -1, this will be 0. There will be an equal sign and the inequality already. Okay, then so your dy over dx is more than 0, and therefore y is an increasing function. Okay, so the explanation will be as such. Right? Yeah, it's just like that. Okay? Yes, Xingxuan. Sid, you just want to put this down. I think that if the question has already given you this as a condition, just write it in on paper. Okay, next. Question 5. May I know what's the concern for question 5? I don't recall who raised the hand just now. I always ask like that, then nobody raised hands suddenly. Question 5. What's the issue? Yeah, skip okay Then question 8. Can what? Sorry, choose both sides. Cube both sides. Oh. You mean cube root, you mean? Not cube. Cube root. Okay. Because what you get in question 5, you will probably get something like that, right? Okay. The understanding is not about cube root both sides. Okay, listen up. From here to the next step, we will say that x plus 1 is more than 0 because logically speaking, okay, we have a number that's to the power of 3 that results in something positive. Okay? This number itself must actually be positive. Because if that number is negative, okay, you cube it, it should become negative. You understand? So it's not about taking cube root, but it's about how we understand our numbers. You understand? Okay? Okay, then question 8. Okay, I will assume question 8 is also about the explanation part. I'll just show the dy over dx. ask you to find dy of dx first and explain why is it that it is an increasing function. So we want to explain why is it that this is going to be more than 0. So we break it down into parts. We see it in 3 parts. Okay, first part is your 2x squared. Okay, another part is your x squared plus 3. And then after the last part is the one in the denominator. So the combination of these 3 things needs to be such that it end up to be more than 0. Okay, so the possibilities will either be negative, negative, positive, or 2 negatives and 1 positive, otherwise all positive. Alright, okay. But then the thing is that even possible? Okay, the question wants us to prove anyway, so we prove it in 2 parts. So question said that for x less than 0, question 8, okay, question gave this inequality. First inequality or first part that we want to prove is about this 2x squared. We know that x squared will actually be more than 0. So 2x squared will have to be more than 0. Okay. The other inequality is that x squared plus 3, okay, is going to be more than 0 as well. Okay, let me just present this. Okay, x squared more than 0, x squared plus 3 more than 0. So that's for the second part. And then for x less than 0, we know x squared is more than 0. X squared plus 1 is more than 1. X squared plus 1 squared will be more than 0. This one more than 0 will be more than 0 as well. Okay, so we prove for each respective part they are always positive. Okay, so therefore, since 2x squared more than 0, x squared plus 3 more than 0, and the denominator is also more than 0, then the combination of everything will have to be more than 0. Therefore, y is an increasing function. Okay? Questions? Yes, thank you. So sorry, this one. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Next we look at question 9. Alright. Question 9 we have y equals to 2x times x minus 9 cubed. After doing your differentiation, this should be what you get. Okay. Question asks you to find the range of values of x such that y is decreasing. So for y to be decreasing, we know that our dy over dx must be less than 0. Okay, in other words, this expression here has to be less than 0. Okay? But then the thing is that we know that x minus 9 squared is strictly positive. For all real values of x. since we know that x minus 9 square will actually always be positive for all real values of x, okay, that means that in this product over here, 2 times x minus 9 square times 4x minus 9, the only thing that can be negative will have to be 4x minus 9. Okay. So we say that 4x minus 9 is less than 0. And then, sorry, hang on. Something doesn't make right. Sorry, let me change this out. Sorry, my bad. Don't know why. Okay. So for y to be decreasing, your dy over dx less than 0. Okay, that means that either this and this is such that this thing is less than 0, the other one more than 0, since it must be plus minus, otherwise minus plus. Okay, then otherwise the other case will be this one more than 0 and 4x minus 9 less than 0. Yes, Vanessa. Sorry? How I did the differentiation? Okay, then I finish this part out first can. Okay, then after that, because we know that the square one will always be positive for all real values of x, except when x equals to 9. Because when x equals to 9, this one will be equals to 0. It cannot be strictly positive anymore. Therefore, we know that the case that we're looking at is x minus 9 squared more than 0 and 4x minus 9 less than 0. Okay? So the differentiation wise, keep left, differentiate right, plus keep right, differentiate left. Something wrong in my differentiation. X plus x minus 9. Oh, okay. Okay, that's the differentiation. Okay, yeah. Sorry? Do I have to do this to list out all the options? You can immediately jump from here to here. Okay? But I want all of us to develop this understanding. Okay, I don't want us to take for granted, okay, that you know, how we go about concluding this inequality. Yeah, so that's why I'm actually writing this out. Because there are times whereby it could be three things multiplying together, or else maybe dividing as well. Okay, so that's why I want us to be clear about how I arrive at the cases. Okay, then continuing. Okay, x minus 9 square more than 0, that will actually mean that my x minus 9 has to be more than 0. Is that true? True? and then x is more than 9. Then how should I do it? Huh? Okay, so I'm quadratic, Alright, so therefore we're looking at either we're looking at a case whereby it's actually like that. There's only one intersection at 9. Okay, so if it is more than 0, that means x is either less than 9 or more than 9. Right? Hang on. X minus 9 squared more than 0. More than 0. Yeah. And then this one here. Yeah, correct. Okay, so because in this case, right, the intersection of the curve, there's only one intersection which is at 9. Okay, then we see that if it's more than 0, it's actually this side or this side. That means we're shading this and this. Okay, then because end up we're shading both sides, which means that it's x more than 9 or x less than 9, it basically means that all real values of x are if x minus 9 squared more than 0. Okay. Then the other one, which is 4x minus 9 less than 0, we find that x is less than x is less than 9 over 4. Okay. So combining this inequality with this inequality, down here is all real values of x, down here is x less than 9 over 4 only. The overlap between these two cases is only x less than 9 over 4. That's why our answer will only be x is less than 9 over 4. Or else you can leave it as a mixed number, x is less than 2 and 1 over 4. Okay? Okay. Okay. So on hindsight, right? What I'm trying to do over here, okay, is to keep to our routines in solving a quadratic inequality, whereby I know that this means x minus 9, x minus 9. Such that when I draw my curve, okay, there will only be one root 9, okay, and then I will be able to get this inequality over here. But then, okay, we can also notice that x minus 9 bracket square more than 0, okay, x can be anything, okay, because any number minus 9 and we square it, it will always be more than 0. Okay, so it's actually perfectly okay if you don't even write this part at all. Okay, for us to realize that x can be anything over here. In fact, we have already written over here that x minus 9 bracket square is actually more than 0 for all real values of x, except when x equals to 9. Okay, so I realize except x equals to 9. Okay, so essentially we are only looking at solving this inequality, okay, such that x is going to give us less than negative 9 over 4, okay, which is x less than 2 and 1/4 as well. Alright? Okay. Questions? Yeah. Okay, so if we were to draw a number line for this, it means 9 like that. Or actually we don't draw it like that. We draw like that. Then after that, 2 and 1/4 probably here. Less than, so it will be here. So we're looking at this part over here. Yeah. Okay. Having our number line is only to help us determine the inequality. Okay, it is actually not really necessary to draw one unless the question asks for it. Yeah. Okay. the context is that X is the number of textbooks. So number of textbooks will have to be more than 0. Okay? So you would have gotten this. Okay, so this is a realization you need to understand from the context itself, because if you don't realize this, you will not be able to actually continue to say that 0.1x will be more than 0, such that dr over dx will be more than 0. Okay? What d equals to 0? Which one? Okay, Jing pointed out that because x is the number of textbooks, strictly speaking, it's possible for number of textbooks to be equals to 0. Agree with that? Okay, so therefore this, and then this is more than equals to 8. Therefore more than 0. Okay? Okay, question 13. Okay, t is given to you as such. We want to find dt over dl. So let's break down this fraction first. This will be g. Okay, we express our t as 2 pi g to the power of negative half times l to the power of half. Okay, then to find our dt over dl, that will mean 2 pi g to the power negative half is the constant. Bring down the power half, L, power minus 1. Okay, and then we will have L to the power of negative half. By simplifying, you will get pi square root GL. Okay. Then for part 2, the question asks what is the sign of dt over dl? What does the result tell you about the period of the pendulum? T represents the period of the pendulum. Okay, so question also mentioned that g is the acceleration due to gravity and L is the length. Okay, we know that the acceleration due to gravity is actually positive, and the length of a pendulum will have to be positive as well because of length. Okay, in fact, it is also possible to be equals to 0. Okay, if you understand and know physics, I think even in lower sec you will probably know G will be equals approximately to 10, right? At secondary school, do you use 10? Or you all use 9.81? 10, oh, okay, yeah. So G is approximated to be 10. Okay. So therefore, your pi over square root GL. Okay, since these two are positive, pi is a positive number as well. Overall, the fraction will have to be positive. So the sign of dt over dl is a positive sign, so more than 0. Therefore, the period of a pendulum Okay? Question wants us to differentiate respect to L. Period increases as L increases. As L increases, period increases. L, wait ah. Say that again. Yeah, yeah, proportional. This formula, they're directly proportional. Yeah. The longer your length of the pendulum is, the period will actually be longer because it takes a longer time to go through one cycle. Yeah. So therefore, it is actually increasing. Yeah. Because even if you go back into this formula, we know that this means 2 pi square root L over G, over square root G. So T is directly proportional to square root L. Yeah. Whereby 2 pi square root G is a constant. So when L increases, T also increases. It's a physics concept also. Your length increase for your pendulum, the longer the period is going. Okay? Alright, so I think that's all for the questions. Okay, pass down your homework to the front, please. Let's finish out our 13.3, shall we? One question left.